So basically, August 2022, your wife said, I love you, but not in love with you. And I think you played a lot of the card that a lot of men would play, which is, you know what? I've provided so much. I've done this for you. I've done that for you. I've given this. I've given that. You have everything you need. Like, what else do you want from me? And like you said, you were kind of playing that victim where
Right.
you were saying the problem can't be me. If you don't feel loved, the problem is really you. You don't see my value. Is that kind of what was going through your head?
Oh yeah. I mean, I immediately just thought about myself, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't
Uh,
I think whatever feelings she was talking about for her own, I kind of ignored. I was just thinking, okay, how's this affect me? What is this like? How does this affect me with the kids? How with our money, our house, all the all the above, etc. So,
mm.
um, but yeah, I didn't care
Yeah.
to dive into where she was coming from, and I was just angry, I
So the
suppose.
question of like, why do you think she said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, didn't even come to your mind, right?
No,
But
but later on
later
through,
on,
yeah.
so now that you have taken the program and like you've done kind of that thinking and reflection,
Mhm.
why do you think she said that?
Oh, so she didn't honestly, she just didn't feel safe in the relationship. She had this idea that because I did have a temper and I didn't know how to manage it, and we did have some fights. COVID was a tough time for our family, I'll say, and yeah, there were we didn't exactly see eye to eye going through that entire uh escapade, and um it was tough. We had a couple fights, and the idea in her head was that like I could do terrible things. I guess I remember getting very angry and like I punched a wall once. It was
Mm,
just not good, and that, and then there was some other outside influences. She actually had a friend of hers who had passed away because of domestic violence, and she wondered if that could be her. And so the idea sparked in her head that maybe, yeah, maybe like I was capable of these terrible things. And uh, she finally felt safe to tell me that after uh the day where she told me that she wasn't in
mm.
love with me anymore. So, but leading up to it, I had no idea. And uh now I don't know. I don't it's something that we still have to get over no matter what, because we are we do have kids, and so no matter what, no our relationship's always gonna be there, I suppose.
Yeah. Um, what, because like I think as a man, right, we always hear this thing about like, okay, a man's supposed to protect, supposed to like provide as well. And I'm sure when she said, she basically told you I wasn't feeling safe with you, that anger, the visceral anger reaction that you had initially, a lot of it perhaps was you thinking, no, I did protect you. There is no reason for you to feel unsafe, right? There's no like, what was, because obviously she's saying like, okay, I don't feel protected. I don't feel provided by you. That's why I'm not in love with you. And then you had this anger reaction. Do you, what made you not see that you weren't protecting her at that point?
I guess you're just kind of blind to a lot of your issues. I if you feel like you're trying really hard, like because I felt like I was trying really hard when it came to like to work, and then you come home and you're tired from work, and you you, you still have kids to take care of, and you're like typical. I'm sure this is issues that every family has to deal with, but like sometimes it gets hard, and you tell yourself that you're busting your ass, but you know and then when it comes to her needs, and she asked for, like you're like, "Oh, aren't I good enough?"
Yeah.
Like, of Aren't I
Yeah.
doing enough? And because you just don't want to admit to any faults, or at least this is me in my instance. I didn't want to admit that I had shortcomings when it came to the home, and it was very I got very defensive, and it was very difficult for me to just listen without getting offended.
Hmm.
And then because I was offended, I didn't want to, I didn't want to take whatever she said seriously.
Yeah.
And
That's what we call like the perfect product illusion. We'll talk about that deeply a bit later, because that was one of the big takeaways you had as well. So you finally went on YouTube. You were looking at some videos on this stuff.
yeah,
Whose videos were you looking at? What type of videos were you looking at?
I mean, I forget like who posted them, but like all the biggest ones when you find on YouTube that have like millions and millions of hits, they always say the same thing. They're all like, oh, you're a victim, you're here, you're trying, takes two to tango, that kind of stuff. And then, she's not committal, all that kind of stuff. It's all crap, right? It's all stuff that's pretty much like, we're gonna tell you what you want to hear, right? And make you feel better about the fact that you effed up. And yeah, it doesn't, like, maybe in the moment when I was watching those videos right away, I'm like, okay, maybe it makes me feel better for like a second or two, and then I go back to my partner and not talk about it, but like realize it didn't get me any closer, further along, didn't teach me anything. And I'm like, what's the point of these, like
Yeah.
but yeah, they all the most popular ones, they just say that, like, hey, you're a victim,
Yeah.
you tried, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think about that a lot because, I'm working with like a brand expert right now, and he's asking basically, why don't you start making these kinds of videos too? And I said to him, basically, I'm not going to sell my soul and say something I don't agree with, that I don't stand for, which is like to enable victim mindset, stuff like that, just for views. If I'm going to say what I need to say, if that's not popular, so be it, whatever. Like, I don't really care. So I think it was the video on the fundamental attribution error that really hit you.
Yeah.
Because I think you were saying that you had some road rage issues as well, and the road rage example that I gave you was actually resonant with you, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was bad. I drove a lot. I commute a lot.
Yeah.
And gosh, the second someone does, I think I told myself, because I drive so much, that it's okay to have road rage. Oh yeah, it's okay to. I get angry because I drive so much. No, like, they don't go hand in hand, but I told myself that, and then and sure enough, like, if someone cut me off or something like that, oh my gosh, I would take it so personal. I get angry. I'd say whatever curse word. I'd tailgate them too, like a crazy person. Oh my gosh.
Oh God. Yeah.
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 And you know what? Like, after seeing that video, it just resonated with me. Like, it was so much easier to not get angry. And I'm like, you know what? Who is this guy? I like he makes so much more sense. And then,
You know what's funny about that, right? Because I used to have road rage too, and when I see other people having road rage, and back then I'd be like judging them, be like, "What the fuck are they doing, idiots?" Right? But then I was like that.
Yeah.
That was me
Yeah.
sometimes. And it's like total fundamental attribution error, right? When
Right.
someone's doing the same thing, you judge their character, but when you're doing it, you're like, no, you don't understand. This guy was an asshole. Yeah, you justify it.
My kids got me late. I gotta drive. This,
Yeah.
So
So April 2023. So this was when she said I love you but not in love with you. That was August 2022. April 2023. She asked you basically if she could go back to work. You agreed because you want to say like, hey, if that's what you think is best for you, go do it. But then through that moment, it didn't get better. I think you said the resistance continued to spike, and at some point you couldn't cope. What was that resistance like? What were you facing at that point? What was she saying, etc.?
I mean, every day that she came home, she was just wondering why, like why I didn't do certain things, like, you know, I messed up this during the like while watching the kids. And a little bit of backstory is that I work nights, so going for her to go back to work uh creates a lot of time issues for someone that works the hours that I do with our
Mm.
kids, you know. I was sleeping maybe like 2 to 3 hours at night, and then maybe would sneak in another nap for like an hour or two, like later on in the day or something like that. But like, uh, yeah, she's been she was a stay-at-home mom for about 5 or 6 years, and yeah, well, she has to go back to work. I figured honestly because I was trying to work on the relationship at this point, not in a not well, but like trying.
Yeah.
And you know, I figured that if I allowed her to do that, that she would be able, we would kind of get closer. And yeah, the exact opposite happened. Um, she was coming home angry a lot. She was wondering, yeah, she was basically, she looked at me like I was not a good partner. And you
Mm.
could feel it growing every single day, you know. Uh, it was it was nice at first when she was going back to work because I could ask her about her day and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And then those conversations quickly went away. And um, yeah, resistance was went to an all-time high. Uh, about 2 months after she started working, I realized that I wasn't invited to like some of her family events because, well, she didn't invite me. It was never her family.
Okay.
And it was like earth shattering to me, you know.
Yeah.
There were like these small little trips that we would take every year. Nothing like vacation wise, but like small little trips that I would go with her family. And
Yeah.
um
It's like it probably feels like not getting picked for the dodgeball team kind of thing. It's just
yeah,
like, man,
exactly.
you are out, right?
Right.
And yeah, to correct what I said at the beginning of the interview too, I made an assumption that her family was like against you as well. Maybe not the case. Don't listen
Oh
to
no,
me, guys.
they love me.
Yeah, okay. Don't listen to me, guys. But the point there was, I think it became clear at this point that there was some very, very negative bias, right? Because
Oh yeah.
if you really think about it, for her to go to work, then come home from work in that angry state, in that resistant stage, and then be with her family, and then get further and further away, or pull herself further and further away from you. I mean, there's got to be some internal turmoil she's going through
Oh,
that
for sure.
she's sitting with about fueled by that negative bias, right? Looking back, what what do you think were some of the things that was going through her mind when she was at work, thinking about you, thinking about the marriage, thinking about when she was with her parents, thinking about the marriage? Like, what was going on there?
Uh, I think it was. I think coming home. The only thing that brought her to our home was me, basically. So another little backstory is that I moved us very far away from her family, just so it was more convenient for me to go to work.
Mm.
And I guess I don't know. I guess she felt, maybe she felt like more and more isolated as the relationship kind of went took a turn for the, you know, turn for the worse. I mean, I think I feel like that might have been another reason why she wanted to go back to work, was so that she could talk to and socialize with people that are closer to her age, and as opposed to just the kids.
Yeah.
And also not me, who wasn't very good at talking to her anyways. And yeah, I think her going back to work made her realize how much um she missed having pretty much a life that
Outside.
doesn't just center around me, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it started to really come out. And I definitely, I couldn't cope. I remember, like, even from watching all your YouTube videos, I knew what I was supposed to, how I was supposed to act. But you know, I might have said the right words, but like none of this was following suit. You can't hide. You can't
The
hide.
micro expressions,
Yeah.
microtones. Yeah.
You
So I think
cannot.
like because my partner kind of went through the same thing too, where she began associating just being in the house, being in my presence as like a bad connotation, as a bad presence. And she wasn't able to explain it to me why it was so negative. She wasn't even able to articulate what her thoughts were, but it's just whenever she's around this house or she's around me, she would feel extremely negative. She would feel like she's not herself. She would lose her sense of self. She would lose her dreams, her, like she used to be so bubbly. Now she kind of lost that. And just to see that for me was so devastating. And I think for your partner, she finally experienced like not only what life could be like and rediscovered some of the stuff that she lost along the way, who she was, her bubbly self, maybe the
Right.
brighter sides of life, etc. But also, having to come home to an environment where not only does she feel bad, but the thing about feeling unsafe is that you can't even talk about it,
Right.
right? Which puts people in this catch-22 where I lose if I share, I lose if I don't share. So I'm just like, fuck, this is so hopeless feeling. The catch-22 is the worst feeling in the world.
Oh, for sure. And I
Um,
don't make her feel like she lost if she shared, for sure.
yeah.
So
Because what was going through your mind when you said you couldn't cope, right? And you saw her coming home from work every day and you saw her getting angry every day, right?
right.
Probably a lot of stonewalling too. Love, like, I don't want to talk about it. Let's just spend time by ourselves tonight, whatever it
Right.
is.
100% for sure.
What were you thinking? Like, what was going through your mind? Because something like you must not have been interpreting it well for you to say, like, I didn't cope well with it.
Yeah, like I said, I just immediately thought about me. I'm like, don't you see how hard I'm trying? Like, don't you see how, I'm barely sleeping because I have a million things to do, and then you're gonna tell me that I'm doing something wrong,
Yeah.
like it was immediately turned into a victim. Uh, I don't know how many times I told myself, I'm like, you're doing the best you can. This is bullshit, so
Yeah.
uh
Because it's funny because you're probably thinking in your mind, why aren't you trying? Right? Or like to her, like, why aren't you trying? Why are you making this so difficult? But her coming home every day was her trying already, but you just didn't see it, kind of thing, you know?
I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
I just I literally just never thought I could never place my point of view into hers. I
Yeah.
only could think of how is the world affecting me right now, and it's just I couldn't be more selfish when it came to thoughts and feelings.